Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dan Martellotti. Neil's going to join me on stage here in a few minutes. I've got a short slide deck that I want to go through, and then Neil wanted me to let you all know to get comfortable and settle in, because he has a 4-hour demo that he wants to do later on. So, all right. So what we wanted to talk about today was the introduction of the Accelerator Pack and how we make it easier to roll out identity governance solution and Identity IQ. So when you're starting to look at an IGA deployment, right, there are lots of challenges that you guys face as a part of this process. There are long timelines. Implementations can be costly, not only from a personnel perspective, but from a partnership perspective. There's a resource and drain that you guys experience because you're pulled in a bunch of different directions. It's hard to support and extend these implementations as you continue to roll out the program. And then there's always new applications that you're being asked to manage as a part of this process, right? So you guys have lots of challenges that you face as you're going through and trying to roll out these programs. So as a result, right, deployment processes have to evolve. So this is where SailPoint's gone in and looked at it and said, look, we can't keep doing the same things that we've always been doing and expect the same results. We have to look at it in a different way, right? How do we deliver rapid business value so you guys can get some quick wins? How do we minimize the overall project and risk that you guys experience as a part of this process? And how do you make sure that you have a maintainable and expandable solution that you can roll out throughout your organization? Even Gartner has come up and said, look, this is something that's really important for organizations. You have to be able to roll these out quickly, and it has to be an application that you can use within your environment on an ongoing basis, and it has to be straightforward. So thinking about this and looking at what our professional services team has done at SailPoint, we introduced the Identity IQ Accelerator Pack as a part of the 7.3 release. And so kind of wanted to walk through real quick what the Accelerator Pack is, right? So it's a pre-configured set of use cases that are really based off of best practices that we've learned over the years of deploying Identity IQ. It's designed to work with out-of-the-box components as a part of Identity IQ. So it is a functional piece of the Identity IQ software itself. We want to figure out how we reduce the efforts in gathering requirements, developing code, testing that code, and maintaining that code. How do we make it easier for you guys to roll out and onboard workflows? How do we allow you to get more stuff done with more use cases, more applications, but in a shorter period of time? How do we get you up and running quickly and rapidly with the application and really be able to show ROI within your organization? And finally, how do we enable less technical resources to really be responsible for maintaining and configuring Identity IQ? So some of the benefits that are a part of the Accelerator Pack again, it's based off of best practices, so it really does help to eliminate the need for you to code and write custom workflows, right? It's designed with a business analyst in mind, so it's easier to maintain and easier to set up. Lots of wizards to walk you through the process. It can actually reduce implementations by as much as 50%, but it's not just for new implementations, it's also as a part of onboarding new applications, right? In our beta program that we ran this summer, we've seen where onboarding applications that for some customers would take as much as weeks can get done within a week itself or less. And like I said, it's a core part of the Identity IQ application. It's upgrade friendly. So we have a development team and a QA team dedicated to working on this product, making sure that it works easily and upgrades easily within the environment. It's supported through our standard support channels. The other thing that's really nice about this is we introduced it with the 7.3 release, but it's not tied to an Identity IQ release, right? Typically, we release software about once every 9 to 10 months as a part of our process. Identity IQ Accelerator Pack is really designed to be able to be updated on a more frequent basis. So we'll be able to add new features to it on a regular basis, and there may be times that it ships with a version of Identity IQ, but it's going to be able to be iterated more frequently. So let's talk about what are the components of Accelerator Pack, and we'll drill into these in a little bit more detail here. The first is around rapid application onboarding. The idea here is it's very easy for you to onboard applications in your environment. Smart Setup is a tool that's designed to really look at the configurations that are part of Identity IQ and a really easy to use interface to maintain and update. And then finally, it allows us to introduce some break glass operations to help you to be able to deal with some of the emergency situations that you may experience in your environment. And again, this is all really designed for a business analyst to be able to maintain and run on a regular basis. So rapid application onboarding, it's just exactly what it says it is. It's about making it very easy for you to onboard new applications into your environment. So there's a wizard-like interface that allows you to define the correlation rules for the data that's a part of an application and how you're going to pull that into Identity IQ. There's a set of out-of-the-box workflows that you can leverage for joiner, mover, leaver as a part of your environment. We have about 30 different workflows from a leaver perspective, again, based off of all the years of our professional services implementing Identity IQ that should really cover the majority of the use cases that you would run into. It also helps begin to set up Compliance Manager as well as helping you define some of the controls around access request in the approval process. Again, things that were measured in weeks previously in terms of onboarding application can be done much more quickly with this process. Smart Setup is designed to help you kind of set up some of the more technical aspects of Identity IQ, but in a smart wizard type interface. So you can go in and define and update and maintain lifecycle trigger configurations, for example, or ticketing system integrations between Identity IQ and a third-party system. And then finally, it introduces the concept of break glass operations. It's a mechanism for letting you respond immediately in the case of an emergency scenario. So for example, I can suspend all access for one or more users leveraging the workflows that are a part of the Accelerator Pack. If I offboarded somebody in that manner and realized that was a mistake, I really needed to bring them back on board with the access that they had, we have the ability to restore those capabilities as well. So just as a mechanism for allowing you to deal with some of those emergency situations in your environment. Okay? So again, Accelerator Pack, what is it? It really is built on best practices, allows you to leverage the application and not have to go through a lot of custom code development. It's designed to be a cost-effective tool to allow you to get a quick ROI and really be able to focus your staff and not be overburdened from a process perspective, and really helps you to drive time to value for your organization as you're onboarding more applications and expanding your use of Identity IQ. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to my friend Neil, and he's going to give you guys a quick demonstration of how the application works. I'm going to get comfortable.
Hey guys, how are you? Neil Coy. I am the Senior Director of Professional Services here at SailPoint. Myself and Nick Elkins in the back are going to walk through a quick demonstration of what this tool actually is and how it works. I'm also going to see if I can't make some magic happen with laser pointers. All right, so you guys are familiar with kind of our standard home screen. On the side here, we've got our quick links. There are now 3 new quick links. Kind of right here, rapid application onboarding, smart setup, and break glass operations. So they tie right back to what Dan was talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the self-service onboarding tool first, because I think it lays a good groundwork for really what's built into this product. So when you connect in an application, you're going ahead, you've kind of made it through, I'll call it day 5 of your first week of an implementation, or existing applications. Every application that you've gone ahead and connected into will go ahead and pop into this list here. So for today, we're just going to go ahead and choose to set up Active Directory. Now again, all of this is really set up to help, 1, streamline your overall deployment of Identity IQ, but really help you onboard applications quickly. And without needing a super technical individual to do it, instead you can now bring in a business analyst. So the first thing you're presented with is our aggregation screen. So this is an aggregation tool to help you set up all of your correlation rules. You no longer have to have someone write correlation rules for every application. Instead, you can choose from drop-downs and fill in the information that's necessary. So aggregations are now a couple of minutes. You can go ahead and set it up and keep going. So from there, we're going to get back to it real quick. So he's going to get into our workflows. And let me start by talking about how long it takes to handle a regular workflow. So if you guys were to go out and write a workflow let's call it 7.3. Sunny, I'll go ahead and pick on you for a second. Sunny, how long would it take you to write a workflow in days or weeks?
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. How long?
Within a week.
Within a week, perfect. I would tell you it takes our guys between a week and a month, depending upon its complexity. So what's cool about this is all your workflows are built in. And when I mean all your workflows, we really tried to go out and take a look at our 80% of all the workflows that we've written and we've created for our clients and build it into the product. So the first one you have is kind of our standard birthright, right? You kind of have it right here. You can go ahead and choose, what the actual population is that you want to use. So is it your contractor population that you want to go ahead and give a birthright to? Is it your employees? You've got your birthright roles, so you can go ahead and choose those. Now you still create your roles using the out-of-the-box features, but those two allow you to go ahead and quickly set up your birthright access. It's done at this point. All individuals will go ahead and gather and get the access that you're looking for. But there's a lot more kind of built in. We then have our rehire workflow, which is right here, doubles as a contractor workflow in case you have in your onboarding contractors. From there, we've got a reverse lever. So as Dan was talking about it a second ago, if you accidentally offboard somebody, or for that matter, intentionally offboard somebody, but they're needed in a critical situation the next day with all of their access back, you can go ahead and use that workflow to bring them right back in within a certain period of time. From there, we've got your leave of absence workflow and your long-term disability. So that's your 5 major joiner workflows already built in. So if we were just working off of Sunny's timeline, and Sunny is probably smarter than the average bear, it takes him a week, right? That's 5 weeks of your deployment that we just got rid of. Now, what's neat, you can still come back in and customize each one of these. So let's say Sunny decides he does need, the rehire workflow isn't quite what he wants. He can still use this and create a pre or post rule to go ahead and pop in here, which might take him a day instead of a week to go ahead and customize. So now we'll skip the bottom, but kind of quickly as he goes to the next page, you can set up emails now on an application basis, or you can go in and set it up on a global basis. It's your choice using the Smart Setup tool. So the next is our lever. I'm going to focus on one piece of information, which is our lever options. So we've come up with 30 different lever options, otherwise known as 30 different lever workflows that you can go ahead and choose from. So it's organized by your disables, your removes, and your locks. There's also some deletes in there. So pay attention to those because they're not as often used, but they are. So for example, we'll check, perfect. Leave and remove, or lock and remove entitlements, and move the account to an OU after a certain number of days. Now, that's just one option. So you can go ahead and choose all the things that you need to, get down granular as you need to, or you can, again, add a pre and post rule if you wanted to go ahead and customize it. But what's cool, you can go ahead and create your onboarding form with these options, so your application owners can go ahead and pre-fill out what they want, and you can give them any of these workflows because they're already built and you don't have to go ahead and build it. Again, if we were just talking about Sunny's timeline, we're talking about 30 weeks of time that we've gone ahead and saved from your deployment. More importantly, all of this is now supported by SailPoint. So the next thing that's kind of interesting about the overall kind of workflows is as you look at kind of the transition that we're making from a security perspective, security used to be, hey, we're going to make a joiner, a mover, and a leaver for an organization. Now, you can go ahead and get app specific for what you want from a security perspective for your workflows. Do you want to go ahead and lock it down immediately? Or do you want to go ahead and just disable for a couple of months in case they happen to come back or something like that? Kind of depends on your organization and the sensitivity of the application. So next, we're going to go into the mover. So here, if you've got an individual that's moving from one organization to another or one group to another, Office of Financial Management to the CIO's office, for example, you can go ahead and set up a manager certification. You can go ahead and set up to automatically move their OU as well. So all of that's now built in. From there, we've got native change detection. Somebody goes into, we'll go ahead and click on, how about CyberArk today since they're here, and tries to give access at CyberArk directly. we'd go ahead and pull that information in and go ahead and throw up a manager certification or whatever it is that you were looking for. A bunch of drop-down options again. Hit next for me. So from there, we've got attribute synchronization. You can go ahead and take a last name, for example, and push it down to every single one of your applications. We've got your approvals. We're showing 2 provisioning approvals. So new employee comes in, we want to go ahead and provision access. I'll just keep talking about CyberArk. So we want to provision access to CyberArk. Out of the box, you can do 2 provisioning approvals for that. So their manager and the application owner. You can go ahead and extend that out to 5 if you needed to. It's just a wizard. In the smart setups, you can go ahead and add to that. Privilege accounts, this is how you handle passwords in privilege accounts. Password synchronization, if you're using our password module, you can go ahead and synchronize your password from one application to the next. Policy violations, toxic combinations. This is where you go ahead and take all of those separation of duty policies and go ahead and pop them right in here. We've got new account dependency. Perfect example is Exchange. You can't have an Exchange account unless you have an Active Directory account. So this tool will know if it's provisioning a new user to go ahead and set up the Active Directory account. It circles back, confirms that it was done, and then it goes ahead and provisions out the Exchange account. From there, simple ticketing integration. So if you're going to do manual provisioning, you can set that up here. And then this is a couple of retries. What do you do with errors and things like that? So I would tell you that it takes about 5 days on average to onboard an application in Identity IQ. With the Accelerator Pack, we're now down to less than a day. So if you were to span that over 100 applications, you're now saving 400 days of someone's time going in and trying to manually set up all of these applications. It's much quicker, it's much easier, and you don't have to write code any longer. So in a government hourly rates and all of that stuff, you're easily talking about $500,000 to $750,000 in savings just in your first 100 applications. So it really starts to add up pretty quickly when you start to talk about kind of application onboarding, but that's really just kind of one piece to it. So we'll go ahead and hit Smart Setup really fast. This is kind of the super technical part, so I won't go too deep. Lifecycle triggers, these are the things that kick off joiners and movers and leavers. They're all set up in here. We created a whole new wizard for you to be able to edit these, change these, add new ones, so you no longer have to write the code. So now we'll go into the global definition page. This is kind of the whole brains of the operation. We're going to go through it pretty quickly. If anybody's interested in a much more detailed demo, just reach out to anybody at SailPoint and they can go ahead and set you up. So as you go down, this is where you set up all of Identity IQ. So instead of having to go through and figure out where in Identity IQ you go and things like that, it provides you a wizard. Once you're kind of familiar with the screen, you can go ahead and see it in one place. This is all of our best practices on one page. All we're recommending is right here. Keep it simple. So what we've tried to do is package it all up into simple areas where you can come in, make the decisions that you need to, question and answer, go through, set everything up. Again, there's a wizard version or a one page. We're showing you the one page just because I do need to be somewhat conscious of the time. So I won't go through it all, but the nice part about everything that is in here is it's still configurable, so you can add in your own logic to each piece of this, but this at least gives you all of our best practices in one spot to go through. So next I'll go through lever options, or sorry, the emergency operations, please. So break glass operations comes in play in a couple of areas. So we've got the terminate identity, so if you need to let someone go immediately, and just remove them from all access, you can go ahead and choose terminate identity. Activate, process, and recover kind of all work like you'd expect. They go ahead, you can choose an identity, pull access from there, change people's access, go ahead and process a request immediately if there's an emergency, something like that. But I will just touch on emergency operations quickly. Nick, you want to go ahead and select it?
5 minutes, Neil.
Thank you, sir. Click on one page, perfect. All right, so from here, we're just gonna stop here. This allows you to suspend access for certain populations. So perfect example is it's 2 o'clock in the morning, there's been a breach, what do? Well, the first thing is if you know the application that's been breached or a certain population's been breached, this allows you to come in and automatically lock that population out of certain applications or out of the entire environment. It goes ahead and suspends all of their access immediately. So that's kind of the application onboarding tool, the smart setup, and of course break class operations. So that's the Accelerator Pack. My demo is completed. I tried to do it within time. Happy to answer any questions. Thanks so much, guys. I will gladly take no questions. We can let you have your day back. Okay, here we go.
I saw that you had the capability to remove access when you're offboarding, remove entitlements.
Absolutely.
Does it archive those? Because I saw options also where you can restore somebody.
That's exactly right. So there's a couple of ways it archives. So it takes a snapshot when you leave, and you can set up how long you want to keep that snapshot for. Or you can simply move them to an OU and suspend them for indefinitely, depending upon how long you want to hold that access for. So you can do it either way.
Great.
Absolutely.
All right, while we're wrapping up, I just want to say thank you to all of you for coming today, and thank you for being our customers. We really do appreciate it. I certainly do as well. So thank you.